Better Call Saul, Season 6, episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you weren't caught up to the point where I am, rewatching or watching Better Call Saul, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description for you. If that happens to be the case, you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And if you happen to be a fan of Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, which I hope you are, you're watching this video, and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please consider smashing that like button. It does help out the channel as well as the video performance. Share the video with whomever you want. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Better Call Saul. What would you score the episode? Whom would be your character of the episode? I try not to give it to Jimmy / Saul / Gene, whatever you want to call them. And then maybe your favorite moment. If there's something that I didn't mention that's very important that I must have missed, like an Easter egg, please leave that. It happens. Sometimes I don't catch shit. I'm busy typing something and I'm not looking and I miss one little moment or something like that. Or if there's something that I didn't cover that you think I should cover, or video that I should do, I take recommendations. That's fine. Just leave all that in the comments section. And of course, last but certainly not least, you're watching the video, so make sure you hit that sub button. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your support, and be a part of something special. This will be Better Call Saul, Season 6, Episode 11. The title of this episode is called Breaking Bad. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. And everything I just said was pre-recorded before I started watching the episode. So now will be my thoughts after watching the episode. Episode starts off with Saul in the back of the famous RV being taken to the desert and then let out to an open grave. And then we see Francesca in one of the future black and white scenes talking to two teenagers who may or may not be her sons or possibly tenants. It wasn't clearly defined, or I just didn't pay attention. But she mentions that they have to hold their own and don't do drugs in the house because she knows that's what we're doing. And then someone is following Francesca when she leaves. And then we see that Francesca is stopped at a rundown gas station. And Gene calls Francesca. And this again is in the future. He gives Francesca some instructions. Some cash has been tied to a bag tied to a fishing line. She tells him that the feds have found everything. Says her mail still gets opened. Phone line is still tapped, and she still gets followed most of the time. And then Saul or Gene or Jimmy, whatever you want to call him, we'll just call him Gene because this is a Gene scene, asks Francesca about Kuby and Huel. She doesn't really know what happened to Kuby, but she mentions that Huel apparently got off. And then she mentions that Bill Oakley is now a defense attorney. Bill Oakley from the courthouse that we see a lot, talking to Jimmy and Kim. And then Francesca says she got one call from Kim checking in on her. And she did ask about Jimmy / Saul, but she told her nothing. And then Gene says, I guess this is goodbye. And Francesca hangs up the phone. And then Gene's looking for Kim Wexler in Florida. He calls like information, as apparently she works there. So Kim, from what we know based on this scene, is still alive at the moment. And then we see a bunch of cars go by the phone booth, and eventually we see Gene get mad and throws a fit. He actually kicks open the glass. Well, it's not really glass. Breaks open the phone booth because he's so mad. And then he goes to work at the Cinnabon. And then after that, Gene goes to Marion's again. He shows her some cat videos, and then Jeff arrives home and he wants to talk to Jeff. And Gene asks Jeff about his hours at the cab company, and he wants him to switch his hours to 9 to 6. And then Gene basically tells Jeff, without saying it, they're back in business, and Jeff is very happy about that fact. So Gene's running a scam or a scheme at a bar while doing karaoke. While it's a very unique scheme. And then there's this gentleman, Al or Alfred, wants to keep betting with Gene, and Gene keeps losing. And the guy ends up getting, at the end of the night, he's pretty wasted. He ends up getting in a cab driven by Jeff. and Jeff gives him some water that we find out later in the episode is laced with something. And Jeff drops off this guy at his destination, walks him up to the door, and actually puts duct tape on the door frame so it won't lock when it shuts, or it won't be able to lock when it shuts. And then Jeff's friend goes into the guy's place and takes pictures of everything in the guy's wallet, his ID, his credit cards, front and back. And then he's passed out on the couch from what's in the water. And then he takes pictures of other things, like some tax returns, I believe. And he actually takes the last check in his checkbook. And he won't know for a while that that's missing, because it's, way at the bottom of the checkbook, of course. And then back to the RV, we see Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. And Saul is checking out the RV, talking about attorney-client privilege. And Saul figures out that Walt is Eisenberg. And then there's, of course, issues with the RV starting, and Walt and Jesse argue about, oh, you got to do this, otherwise it floods the pump. And then Jesse asks Saul, who's Lalo? Because when in the Breaking Bad scene, when Saul debuts, he says, did Lalo put you up to this? And Saul says it's nobody, and changes the subject rather quickly. And then Walt tries to start the RV again, and it starts. And then a package is delivered to Gene's place. It's an Achilles massager, or ankle massager. The same thing he used in same thing he used in Breaking Bad all the time. And then we find out now that Gene is putting stuff into the water that makes them pass out when they get dropped off at home by Jeff. And they're making some cash doing this scheme, as they're doing multiple schemes and schemes and schemes over and over again. And then Gene is sleeping with hookers. And then we have another scheme with Stewart from The Big Bang Theory, Kevin Sussman. I don't know what his character's name is. He takes a bunch of pills while drinking. He says it's for cancer. And Gene asks if he should be drinking, and he seems not to care. Like, you only live once, and I'm going to have fun while I'm still alive. And so he goes ahead with the scheme because he seems fine with everything. And then we see a past scene in color, might I add, with Mike showing up at Saul's office while Saul is massaging his ankles or Achilles. And Saul tells Mike he walks like Frankenstein after he was probed by aliens. That is fucking hilarious. I love that line. So Mike's doing his work, his loss prevention work, background checks, and he tells Saul that Eisenberg is Walter White, a chemistry teacher with stage 4 lung cancer. And then we go to a past event where this is a past event, and Saul mentions that he thinks that Eisenberg has got something with this hot product. Mike doesn't really think so, but Saul is pretty set on that. And then we see Gene back home having a drink, and he gets a call, and he says he did what? Tell him to get his ass to the garage right now. And we see Saul, Jeff's friend, and Jeff at the garage. There's so much noise with the dog and all that Marion takes her headphones off from listening and watching the cat videos. And she looks outside and sees this go on. And we find out that Jeff's friend says he can't rip off a guy with cancer. And he refuses to finish the job. And Gene wants to go back there with Jeff. So Gene has Jeff drop him off at the guy's place with cancer and tells him to pick him back up in 20 minutes. Basically, pretend like you're picking up a passenger. And then we see a quick scene of Saul pulling up to Walter White's school. And then we go back to the present day black and white stuff, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. That should be like the past events, but whatever. Gene breaks the window to the guy's place to get in, and that's how the episode ends. So I love the title of the episode. I thought this would be the debut of Walt and Jesse on Better Call Saul, and it was. Fun stuff. Breaking Bad. I do not like the black and white stuff. I don't like watching things in black and white. It's really, really annoying. I wish they didn't do that. I think they're doing that so it doesn't show the age of the actors. But this was pretty good stuff. I like the scheme that was run at the bar and the karaoke stuff. That was actually kind of entertaining. Is Saul or Gene, is he going to just break bad at the end and get killed? Maybe that's what's going to happen. I think Saul's, or Gene, whatever you want to call him, Jimmy, Saul, Gene, I hate all these names that he has. I think he might die at the end of this. Okay, that's a hot take, but how else is this going to end? You think it's going to be him and Kim happily ever after? They can't. People die when they get together, so I don't know. So, I like the episode, though. As far as the score of it, I'm going to give it an 8.8 out of 10. And then the character of the... You know what? Actually, I'm going to change my score. I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10, because this was actually a really good episode, other than the black and white stuff. And the character of the episode, I'm going to give it to Francesca, because she had a lot in the beginning of the episode. Is this the last that we see of Francesca in the future? It very well could be. At least she got some money for having that conversation with Gene. So, you've heard what I have to say. Now, of course, it's your turn, and I apologize for repeating myself, but if you happen to be a fan of Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, which I hope you are because you're watching this video, and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please go ahead and smash that like button. Share the video with whomever you want. Sound off again in the comment section about what your thoughts are. Character of the episode, score of the episode, anything I missed, or things that you want to... what you want to recommend me do on the channel regarding this show. And last but certainly not least, like I said before, you're watching the video anyway, so don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.